Okay, hi everybody. We're going to show you how to make the basic cam mechanism here. So first thing you need to do is you need to find the center so you can make a hole for the main shaft that goes through the center. So I'll make an X on one side, flip it over, then make an X on the opposite side. And put this right in the center. Then I'll go up to the top and do the same thing. You may not end up doing it right in the center of the top. You might make it closer to the front of the box or closer to the back, depending on how you're going to set up your seam. In this case, I just did the center of both sides and the center of the top so that it winds up in the right place. So I use the awl and carefully poke a hole in one side. Then take it out, turn it around, poke in the opposite side, and then poke the hole through the top. So now your box should have 3 holes in it, and they should all be lined up with each other. So I'll get one of the thick 5mm dowels and push it all the way through. You might need to kind of wiggle it through the hole a little bit, but the idea is for it to spin easily in the hole once it's all the way through. So give it a little test spin. That looks good. Now I'm going to get the thinner stick, which is the bamboo skewer, and if you put it right down through the top, it should basically hit the other stick right in the center. That's how you know they're in line with each other. So take out the crankshaft, and then there's some foam sheets. I'm going to use a scrap piece that has some missing from it already. That is a way to conserve materials. Don't grab a brand new piece just to cut one cam out of it, if you can help it. So I'm cutting a cam. It's sort of oval shaped. And then I'm going to trace it and do another one. Sandwiching 2 together makes it sturdier and a little bit wider. So I'll trace this out. Doesn't matter if there's some little piece of hot glue on here. Cut it out carefully, and then I will lay them on top of one another to make sure that the edges line up. As you can see, the first time I do it, they don't line up perfectly, and you don't want that. You want it so they line up. Yeah, all right, so make sure they're oriented the same way, and then if they're still not lining up, just give it a little haircut and trim off that extra side so that they are the same size and the same shape. Nice. Now I'll use the awl again, and I'm going to poke a hole in the cam kind of closer to one end than the other, because the whole idea of a cam is that you want a short end and a long end. I'll put a few drops of glue in between here, not so much that it squeezes out, although this does squeeze out a little bit, which tells you put in a little too much. Don't burn yourself. Then smush these 2 sides together. Something other than your finger in case the hot glue squeezes out through the crack. Wipe off the excess. Open up the other side and put in just a couple drops to hold it together. Wipe off any excess. And then push it on to the crankshaft. so it ends up somewhere in the middle, and push it all the way through the opposite side, through the whole bearing. Now for the follower mechanism, the thing that's actually going to be doing the moving. So take the thinner skewer, make sure that glue gun is not on the cutting mat. Now you're going to grab some of this caulk saver, also known as foam snake, and a straw to make a little support for the follower shaft. So this is the thinner material. So you really only need a couple inches of this. And then at the end, I'm going to cut some slits. Cut, turn, cut, turn, cut, turn. And then use your finger to flare them out. Try not to ruin the straw, as I'm almost doing here. Now you have 3 or 4, depending on how many cuts you made, little legs that are extra gluing surface so that it stays where you want it to. Now, it doesn't have to be that long, so I'll trim it a little bit more. And one thing to really pay attention to is don't go overboard with the glue. One little dot on each petal of this little flower of straw is all you need. And then push it down, because the thing you don't want to happen is for the glue to squeeze out and end up in the middle of the straw. Think about it. That ends up causing a lot of friction to the follower shaft as it passes up and down. So use a pencil or something so it doesn't squeeze out onto your finger. Give it a second to dry. And then do a little test run to make sure yep. Okay, perfect. Ends up right on the edge of the cam. Now we need to make the actual follower. So what we're going to do is put that in, and we're using the pointy side because we're going to cut a little segment of this. So I made a small mistake here. I should have cut it twice, because as you can see, one end of that is smooth and nicely cut. The other one's a little bit rough. When you do it, you should definitely do it so both sides are smooth. That makes for a much easier situation. So we're putting this on there. And then we're also going to put a little glue. See, the bottom is a little rough, so I end up trimming it. It's a lot easier if you do it beforehand. And then you can make your follower out of pretty much any flat material. In this case, I use a piece of chipboard, but you can use foam, you can use corrugated cardboard, and the follower doesn't have to be round. It can be if you want to serve a particular purpose, but I just make one rectangular just because it's easier. So you take this piece, give a little glue right in the center, and then you push it straight up onto that little piece of foam snake, and that's your follower. As you can see, mine is a little bit crooked because the bottom surface is not even. That's a lesson for you. Now, all I have to do is mount whatever I want moving. These are some multi-cutters. So you take the little switch to unlock them and clip this. You should hold it in place, because you'll notice when you clip something with the multi-cutters, it tends to fly away. This one flew onto the floor. So you don't want to do it that way. You want to hold it down with your finger so it doesn't go flying. So now we have the follower shaft, we have the follower. Last but not least, we just want to put a little shape on there. So I'm going to cut out 2 triangles and sandwich them together on that follower shaft, so we actually have something to move around and animate. Yours is going to be a character or an animal or whatever your scene dictates. Snip that off. A little bit of glue in there. Come on, Mr. B, get with the program. this is one side. And this is the other side. One for the bamboo, and then 2 little dots to hold it together. Nice. Again, be careful not to squeeze the glue out onto your hand. I'll put a clamp on there. Let it dry for a second. And that's my completed automaton. Take that clamp off, and let's see what the motion is. If I twist the shaft, we get some up and down motion, but we also get some turning motion. It turns one direction, then it turns the other direction. So I was hoping for just some up and down, but now it's your turn. Help me troubleshoot. Why does it go up and down and turn left and right when I turn this? Look really carefully at how the cam and the follower are interacting, and you probably can figure it out. Thanks for watching. Good luck.